What up, everybody? Vinny Hecht here. In this video, we're going to dive deep. I'm going to be in the trenches with you. I decided to create a video not like my other videos, a lot of the polished type, shorter content. This one, I really want to dive in, provide you with the framework for the sales process as a whole, as well as go into the nitty-gritties of each step of the process, and give you some tactical things that really, if you wrap your head around all this, you're going to be in a really good position to crush it in 2023 and beyond. So bear with me. And actually, I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below if you kind of dig these styles of videos. Just you and me. I'm giving it to you raw. So let me know in the comments. Drop it below. Let me know. But let's get into this, okay? So when I'm working one-on-one with clients, and if you don't know me, I'm Vinny Hecht. I work with salespeople, leaders, business owners, focus on shortening the sales cycle, closing more deals, making more commissions, driving revenue for the company. And we do that one-on-one. And this is what I focus on with my clients right here. This is the sales process. This is a macro overview of everything. So if you wrap your head around this, you're going to be in a good spot. Let's dive into things. So this flow chart, so to say, is a sales process. So right out the gates, you got to really understand your ideal customer profile, who out there you're solving a problem for. That way you can optimize your time spent doing lead gen, finding the companies out there that are going to be good fits for your product. Then you qualify the lead. So figuring out the right person at the right company that you need to get plugged in with, engage with, in order to shorten the sales cycle, close the deal. Then you get to prospecting. There's a bunch of different prospecting channels that you're going to be working, try to capture your prospect's attention. That way you could schedule that discovery meeting. In discovery, I have a framework for this. So be sure to stick around on this video. The last part of this is I'm going to give it away. I'm going to give the keys to the castle away in terms of my framework for an effective collaborative discovery meeting, which if you do this right, you are going to jack up your closing rate. Before diving into the ideal customer profile, let's take a look at the top 3 common pitfalls to avoid in B2B sales. What are they? 1, not prioritizing time on the inputs. So when I talk to people, I get on, or my strategy call with them. It's like, what do you want to do more of? They're like, I want to close more deals. Well, guess what? If you're not prioritizing time on the inputs, you're never going to get the desired outputs. What do I mean by the inputs? These right here, the front end of the sales cycle. You got to allocate time to doing lead gen. Got to allocate time to qualifying, figuring out who the right person is within that right company. So when you actually schedule, you get to prospecting, ideally to schedule a meeting, you're going to be meeting with the right person at the right company, and then the deal's going to be more likely to close. So you need to prioritize time on the inputs, the prioritized sales activities, lead gen, qualification, prospecting. By doing this, you're going to mitigate the chances of feeling the ebbs and flows of sales, all right? Number 2, not understanding the customer's goals or needs. And we're going to get into this and how to conduct like a collaborative, effective discovery meeting. You really got to know what their problems are in order to close the deal. You can't just pitch features, benefits right out the gates. It's not going to work. So you need to learn how to ask the right questions, get that pain. So that way you can actually put together a personalized pitch, close the deal. Number 3, relying too heavily on an outdated sales process. So if you're like a shotgun spray and pray, one size fits all approach, you're losing out on a lot of deals. So these are the common pitfalls to avoid in B2B sales. By understanding this, knowledge is power. You're going to be in a better position. But let's tie it back in. Let's start from the beginning. The front end of the sales cycle, your ideal customer profile. So what is that? And again, you should really be fleshing this out with if you have a manager, whatever, your VP of sales, the company owners, they should give you a really good framework for allowing you to see who's out there, what organizations, companies, whatever are out there that have a problem. And guess what? You got a product, you got a service. Who out there can I solve that problem for? So I'm going to give you an idea, like an example of an ideal customer profile, but you really need to crystallize this yourself Who out there are you solving a problem for? So break it down. All right. It's going to help with your sales messaging when you're going to prospect, all that sort of stuff. So this is an example of one of the digital media agencies that I worked with. And they did a lot of content creation for companies for their TikTok, Instagram, basically drive traffic, increase engagement, build a better brand so that they can convert more customers. Here's an example of their ICP. So you got to get deep. Really got to understand your customer profile. So who are they? For this one, they're, restaurants, food trucks, dentistries, whatever. That's independent family owned, so not a big corporate type entity with a lot of layers. Company size 1 to 50. How much money are they making? Understand that. Where are your locations? This is going to be really important if you have multiple salespeople on a team and you got a designated territory. So for your territory assignment, social media, this is obviously that they have to have this in order for them to get after them so they don't waste time when they're prospecting. Buyer persona, this is huge. Who out there are you going to be typically, prospecting so you can schedule meetings with? Who is that? What are their characteristics? Know your prospect on a deeper level, because this is going to really factor in when you're tailoring your messaging. When you're making cold calls, when you're reaching out via email, through social, by having an understanding of who that buyer persona is, you're going to increase the chances that you're going to actually be able to connect with them in a meaningful way. What are their beliefs? Do they see, for example, this digital media agency, obviously they're content creators on social media platforms. So the companies that they're reaching out to, do they even see the importance of having a social media presence? If they do, okay, then they more likely understand the value that their company is going to be able to bring to them. So really understanding what are their attitudes, values, beliefs, what are their pain points. Again, you got a product, you got a service. Who out there? What problem are you solving out there? What problem are you solving? I swear to God, I've worked with companies that had an existing product and they were scheduling meetings and pitching something that wasn't a core component of their product. So as you can see, that kind of muddies up the value proposition. So just something to keep in mind, really understand what's the problem that you solve? What's the pain these companies, these people within the companies are experiencing? Because those are going to allow you to tailor your talk tracks and have a more meaningful discovery meeting. So circumstances, trigger events, these are all, what's going on with the company. Trigger events, that gives you a reason. Why should I reach out to this person? Or if I've reached out, if I've already had previous engagements with them and the deal might have lost momentum and fell off, what are the new reasons why I should re-engage with them? Trigger events. Really good examples of ICPs are, who are your current clients? Who are your past clients? Like, here's a challenge for everyone out there. You got existing clients, hopefully. You had previous clients. Go out there and do a little interview in terms of why they bought for you. Figure that out. Why did they buy from you? Chances are the things that you think in their head in terms of why they bought for you, they're going to say something different. So by having a clear picture of who your ideal customer profile is, the goal of that is so that you can optimize your time doing lead generation. So you're not doing a shotgun approach. Everyone's a qualified lead. No, everyone's not a qualified lead. By understanding who your ideal customer profile is, that's a way for you to better understand who out there you need to target. Then once you understand that, get to lead generation. So this will allow you, this is again, an input that you need to focus on. So you need to allocate time to doing lead generation. And the reason behind that is to avoid the ebbs and flows of sales. Without new leads, your pipeline's going to dry up. You're going to have really crappy commissions. Revenue's going to decline. You're going to experience legitimate depression, and you're probably going to get fired. So you need to allocate time to doing lead generation. Top 3 lead gen resources for free: social media, and we're going to talk a lot about LinkedIn a little bit later. But if you're not using LinkedIn, you're missing out on generating leads, but also, figuring out who within that company is going to be the right person to talk to. LinkedIn is a beast for doing lead generation and helping with the qualification process, at least figuring out the right person within the right company to talk to. So if you're not on LinkedIn, get on LinkedIn. Search engine, Google, Bing. Come on. Like, I think you know how to target Chamber of Commerce's, look at geographical areas and figure out what companies are out there in your immediate vicinity that are going to fit this ICP. So lean into the search engine. And also, here's a little treat for you. Generate leads, referrals from tapping your power base. So your network. Your power base is composed of your friends, your family, people you've done business with in the past, basically people that want to see you succeed. That's your power base. And you really need to tap into them. As long as you feel confident in what you're selling, you should lean into your referral network, your power base. And here's an example of me leaning into my power base. And what platform am I using? I'm using LinkedIn. So feel free to copy this, use it. It works. So to set the ground a little bit, basically this person, I've known him for a very long time. He's VP of finance, CFO, finance guy, and I just found that he was connected to everyone that I needed to schedule meetings with. So I put together this little message, sent him through LinkedIn, and here's the results. It's basically, I just kept it real with him, right? It's like you're connected to numerous people in different companies I'm trying to meet with, and I can seriously improve procurement processes, reduce costs for these people. And again, I was confident in what I was selling. So when I'm tapping on his shoulder, I'm not going to do any harm to him, because it's like I spent time. It's like, hey, I'm confident in the product that I'm selling. So when I'm leaning into this power base, my network, you better be damn sure that you can really solve a problem, so you're not burning any bridges, right? So that's just something to keep in mind. But yeah, here's the messaging. Specifically, I want to reach out this person at this company. Would I be able to use your name? Send them a message, see if there's an opportunity to help out. No pressure, right? Asking permission. Cool. Appreciate it. And then I told him he already linked me up with a particular person. So here's his response. It's like, you can definitely use my name. Do you have his email or need me to help you connect? You'll be surprised at just how awesome people are. They want to help you, right? Again, your power base is composed of people that want to help you out. So don't screw them over if you don't have a solid product that your prospects can benefit from. Don't be tapping on shoulders or anything like that, right? But I'm confident I can solve a problem, so I'm going to reach out to him. No shame in that game, right? Right on. Yeah, I'd love your help connecting with him. If you could do a group chat intro, I'd be beyond grateful that I was. So what did he do? He did close that deal, and I want to do him a solid, take him out for lunch. Cool, great, okay. Again, what? Lead gen, lean into your power base. Lean in, come on. All right, those are free. If you are privileged to have a budget to allocate towards lead gen, here's, gosh dang, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, again, really, really good. Has a nice price point. Yeah, it's a really good for lead gen, qualification, even prospecting. I don't do much prospecting through LinkedIn. Not in the way you kind of think. We'll get into that later, but LinkedIn Sales Navigator, awesome. Zoom info, friggin' amazing. It's pricey for sure, but it's definitely the best in terms of lead gen service that I've experienced. And I'm not paid, promoted by LinkedIn or Zoom info. These are tools that I've used that I'm like stoked on. They're savage, at least for lead gen qualification. So I've talked about qualification. Let's just jump into it. And I want to make a distinction. Qualifying a lead and qualifying a sales opportunity, right? So notice in terms of the front end of the sales cycle, my macro sales process, you have your ideal customer profile. So you got to figure out who out there in the world is a good fit for what we're selling, right? So once you understand that, then you can get into lead gen. You're optimizing your time spent when you're actually generating leads that might be a good fit. Now, when I'm qualifying a lead, that is, okay, who within this company is the person that I need to meet with in order to just shorten the sales cycle. Who is that person? Are they a C-level or, senior person at this company? That'd be awesome, right? But it ain't always going to work with that way. Sometimes you got to sell from the bottom up. You got to meet with an influencer in the deal. And then once you meet with them, you got to recruit them as an ally, a champion for you. And that way you can get lined up. So I get this question a lot. It's like, who should I start out? Who do I need to meet with within a company in order for the deal to close in the shortest amount of time? And the answer, it really depends. Sometimes you're going to be selling top down from like a C-level director, and then you're going to have to recruit buy-in from the influencers. Sometimes you're going to have to meet with the influencer in the deal, you turn him into a champion, and then help with the deal selling upwards. So it really depends. But the idea behind this is you need to figure out who's the right person within the right company for me to meet with to ideally just shrink the sales cycle. That's what pinpointing. And the distinction when you're qualifying a sales opportunity, when you get into the discovery meeting, that's where you're going to really figure out, is this person are they a buyer in the short term, or do I, need to put them on the back burner and nurture them along, and maybe they'll convert in like 6-12 months. So difference. But for the purposes of this step, the qualification process, you need to figure out the right person within the right company to meet with, ideally to shorten that sales cycle and increase your close rate right there. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about qualifying a lead. That's why ICP, lead gen, qualify. That's the flow that's going on. Why is it important? Again, it all comes down to optimizing your time. So time efficiency, you're going to be when you get to prospecting, after you qualify the lead, you're going to be allocate time to prospecting. Drafting up sales emails takes a lot of time. Making cold calls takes a lot of time. Reaching out on LinkedIn takes a lot of time. So you want to be sure you're pinpointing the right person within the right company to meet with. Better use of resources allows you to determine if you need to invest any resources other than time. I mean, some companies are able to send out gift cards in order to schedule meetings. So you need to qualify the leads, so you're not just sending out Amazon gift cards to the wrong person in the right company, right? And then again, increase chances of success. By qualifying the lead, you're going to increase all your rates, your conversion rate. So you're going to schedule more meetings with the right person. You're going to decrease your no-show rate. So prospects are going to be more inclined to show up to the meeting if they're the right person, because they want to ideally learn a little bit more about the problem you can solve for. And then you're going to increase your close rates because you're going to be meeting with the right person. So here's a little something for you in terms of like a best practice. You want to structure your day so you allocate time to both lead gen and qualification. Ideally, I like to smash these two steps together. Well, ideally, I like to smash these 3 steps together. Find out who out there is, what type of company is going to be a good fit, figure out the right person within that company that I need to meet with, and then get to prospecting. But not to get ahead of myself, ideally, you want to smash these lead gen qualification process in the same step. And here's how you can do that. Feel free to use this, take it. If you're not doing this, you're at a disadvantage. But this is really powerful, is being real with yourself and creating a daily schedule for yourself. It takes the ambiguity out of everything. You know what you're going to be doing when you launch into the day. So just do this because look, take a look at this example right here in terms of a daily schedule. Look at how much time is being prioritized on the inputs. Again, you need to focus on the inputs to get the desired outputs. I want to close more deals. Okay, guess what? You need to focus more on the inputs. And by having a daily schedule like this, if you nail this, that's going to be an automatic win. You're going to start building out your pipeline fat by doing more, making more calls throughout the day, through allocating time specifically for lead gen and qualification so you can avoid the ebbs and flows of sales. So feel free to steal this, use it, break down a daily schedule. It'll be empowering. to take out the guesswork in terms of what you're going to be doing during the day. And if you do this, you're going to avoid the ebbs and flows of sales, no doubt. Ideally, you're going to be scheduling more meetings. So this is going to be, you're going to have bigger orders to have, bigger problems to focus on, because all your calendar is going to be blocked out by first-time discovery calls. So by doing this gives you a good framework, good start. You'll have some new problems to work through right there. So I'm going to, quick note, I'll be posting this whole entire document to my community. It's a community for closers. This is where I basically live, and there's going to be a link below this video. So it's a free group. Join it. I'm going to be posting this whole entire document in there, so have at it. But yeah, feel free to take this right now, do whatever you want with it, and then I'll see you in the group right there. So the most important input to focus on right here, prospecting. If you're not prospecting, you're not going to be creating opportunities. You're not going to be closing deals, and you're going to get fired. Okay. So again, I get this question so much. It's like, which prospecting channel should I use? Should I make a cold call first? Should I send an email? Should I connect with them on LinkedIn and engage with them there? It depends. That's the answer. That's the reality. It depends. Depends on what you're selling. But let's just go into the 3 primary prospecting channels that you're going to be working. Let's get into it. 3 primary prospecting. You're going to be sending emails, you're going to be making cold and warm calls, and you're going to be engaging on social, ideally. If you're not doing this, you need to start doing this. So let's just keep rocking and rolling, making our way through. So first prospecting channel we're going to be going over, where you really need to get savage in, is converting through email. So best practices for writing effective sales emails. Subject lines. Believe it or not, I keep mine super short. I don't capitalize any letters in my subject lines. Why? Because if you look in your inbox and the first letter of every word in the email is capitalized, typically who sends those emails? Robots. So just to give myself a little edge, I don't capitalize any of my words in the subject line. Here's a best practice, just entire for all emails. Anytime you use I in an email, here's the challenge for you. Change it to make it about you. So look in your past emails. If you see any I's in there, change it so it's about the prospect. It's not about you. No one cares about you. So there's a little challenge for you. Eliminate the fluff. Eliminate all fluff. Straight up, just like get to the point. Boom, 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 boom. Cut it out and make it concise. Believe me, cut the fluff, especially if you're dealing with like sophisticated buyers. They're not going to have, just get to the point. All right. Get to the point. Make it conversational. No, you don't need to use big words, catchy phrases, buzzwords, any of that. Make it so like a 3rd grader understands what you're talking about. I use contractions. Every time that I can. You would, you'd. Cannot, can't, wanna, W-A-N-N-A. Just make it, how do you talk? It's like, make it conversational. Make the email conversational, right? Tone of your email, slightly positive, not overly positive, never negative. So just be cognizant of that. Be cognizant of how many exclamation points you're using. Oh my God, so nice to connect with you, exclamation. Just slightly positive. I like to use words like great, wonderful, absolutely, perfect, stuff like that, comma. So tone of your overall email, slightly positive. You don't need to go over the top there. And then once a prospect responds, I like to kind of mirror their the verbiage or their structure, punctuation, all that sort of stuff. So if they reply back to me with nice to connect with you, exclamation, you know what? In my response email back, I'm going to pepper them with some exclamations as well. Or if they don't write, in line break form and just paragraph everything together, I'm going to respond back in a paragraph. I don't know why. It's just something that I do. Okay, 5 components of an effective cold sales email. Again, for me, traction, best practice in terms of which prospecting channel should I go use first? Should I make a cold call first? Should I send a email first? Should I engage with them on LinkedIn first? For me, I typically like to send an initial cold sales email, because this right here, if you think about it, it sets the foundation for everything. It's your first impression that a prospect gets of you. That's what I mean. It sets the foundation for all future outreach. So if you can nail this initial cold sales email right, they're going to think of you ideally in a positive light. And really, it takes the most time on the front end when you're sending emails before doing anything, prospecting, any other steps afterwards. But when you do this, you take the work out of everything else. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's just focus on the 5 components of a cold sales email. You get your subject line. It's got to grab their attention. Again, I keep mine super short. I don't bait and switch them. I don't use bait and switch type subject lines. So, what I mean by that is when like use some like over the top, like caution, or you must click on this now. I don't know, just something that when the prospect clicks in, they automatically feel like they've been duped. That's what I mean by bait and switch. I never use those types of subject lines like need your response now, urgent. No, because then when they click in and read, it's like a sales email. They're going to be like, fuck this person, right? Salutation, I keep it simple. Hi, first name. Opening sentence is all about them. It's not about you. It's not about that you hope their day is going well. It's like basically in this line, the opening line, you need to show them that you know them. In the email body, moving on, this is where you got to highlight a relevant problem that your prospect experiences. And then you subtly tie that into some key ways that you can help them. And I'll have an example. We'll get into that. So it kind of brings this to light. And at the end of the email, you got to have a call to action. I have one call to action at the end of my emails, and it's a soft call to action. What are soft call to actions? Soft call to actions, these are examples right here. Interest-based. They're not hard call to action. So it's like, would you be open to discussing or connecting? Does it make sense to chat? Is it relevant? Is this a problem your team's experiencing now, right? These are like interest-based. I'm not asking for like a date time right out the gates. It's asking for interest based on like a call. So in my initial cold sales email, I typically like to use interest-based call to actions, again, because it's your first touch. So would you be open to it? Who knows? So here's an example. Let's go through it. This first line, actually there's these first 2 lines. It's all about the prospect, right? Saw that you have Austin's only Japanese market, been in business since 1967. Congrats, blah, 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 blah. This really, can a robot send this? No. This shows the prospect that you know them. You've done your research on them. And by opening it up like this, you're going to increase the chances that they're going to continue reading your email. Okay. So I transition into the body where you kind of highlight the problem and then you tie it into how you can help out. So this line right here, this is an example of the digital marketing agency that I worked with. It's like, didn't see too many, but first, actually, let me note this. It's like, yeah, you've done great with the pictures. You posted those. Your pictures look great on your Instagram, but I didn't see too many videos. Was curious if you thought about doing that, since you have a large following, posting video content would increase engagement, build your brand, tell your story. There's that problem you're hinting at, right? Then you tie it into your call to action. Had a few ideas on how doing something like this might get more paying customers through your door. Are you open to connecting on a quick call? Maybe Thursday to discuss. Interest-based call to action right there, right? Thanks, congrats. Here's it. Again, this whole document's going to be on my community for closers. Click link below, free group, get this. But this is an example of a cold sales email. It acts as your first touch, your first engagement with a potential prospect. And this is an example of how sending out something like this would be a good first touch, right? Now, cold calling, prospecting channel number 2 that you need to be a savage in. You need to be a rock star on the phone, okay? Why do most salespeople dread making phone calls? 3 reasons. It's fear of rejection, uncertainty of outcome, and you suffer from perfectionism. So you got to get over that. There's no perfect script. If you're uncertain about the outcome, guess what? You're never going to figure it out until you make the damn call and talk to the prospect in terms of, are they going to take a meeting with you? Are they not? Guess what? Figure it out, make the dial, have a conversation. If you're a rejection, we all have wounds growing up, right? So we've experienced some early trauma of rejection, but guess what? It's something you got to work through. It's a muscle, a little rejection muscle. As you work on it, you get stronger and stronger, and you just don't care as much, but you got to work that muscle. You got to work it. Here's 5 potential positive outcomes for a cold call. Positive, not always meaning you're going to get the meeting, but these are like the potential outcomes for all cold calls. You book the meeting, woo, ideal, right? That's the whole idea behind it. You agree to a follow-up call to talk more. Not every call is going to be instant conversion to a first-time meeting, but you can treat that as a touch point because maybe next call will be. The prospect feels a little bit better about you and the company, because think about it. Cold calling is a form of marketing, right? So if you're making calls, if the prospect has no idea about your company and you just suck on the call and you're not a good representation of your company, that's like really bad marketing. That's a really bad impression you're giving off of your company. And no doubt I've engaged with buyers that have told me, if they're not, that first impression is shit, they're probably not going to buy from them ever, right? So it's just something to keep in mind. Number 4, you found out the prospect isn't a good fit. Not everyone's going to be a good fit. Ideally, you spend time, on your ideal customer profiles, and you take that, have that in mind when you're doing your lead gen and you qualify. So ideally, you mitigate the chances that the people you're going to be spending time on prospecting are going to be a good fit. But guess what? Not everyone's going to be a good fit. So sometimes you got to qualify them out, right? On the 5th potential outcome too, you get a referral. Sometimes if they're not a good fit, maybe they know someone at a different company who would be. So shoot your shot, ask for a referral, right? So something to be said and something to totally avoid is the traditional model of cold calling. It sounds something like, hey, I'm Vinny. I'm with X company. We've been in business for over 50 years and been helping companies do A, B, C. And guess what? I can help you with X, Y, Z. So let's schedule a call so we can talk more about how you can help. Are you available on Monday at 2? Right? So what is this traditional model? It's all about the salesperson. You're pitching. No one cares how long you've been in business for. No one cares about how the features and benefits of how you're helping all these companies. If you're doing this approach, what you're doing is triggering the prospect's lizard brain and increasing sales pressure on them. You want to slip under their lizard brain. So by adhering to this traditional model of cold calling, you're just increasing the likelihood that you're going to trip their lizard brain wire and have them be like, this is a sales call. I need to get off this right now. Slip under it, right? How do you slip under that lizard brain and cut through the rest of the cookie cutter salespeople most of the people are doing this out there? You adopt the new model of cold calling. So you become prospect centric. It's all about them, just like in your cold sales email or in your emails. It's not about you, your company, the features and benefits. It's all about your prospect. It's all about who they are, what their company does, the problems that they're experiencing. And then it's like you want to focus on that, right? So seek first to understand, then be understood. How you do that? You do that by asking questions. And by asking questions, you figure out, hey, are they going to be a good fit? Then it might make sense to jump on a call later. Okay. That's how you're going to build trust and rapport with your prospect, is just by having a conversation. That's all a cold call is. It's just like, hey, let's have a convo. Let's see if you're a good fit. Let's see. If not, no worries. I don't care. Separate yourself from the outcome, but have that conversation. Right there. Focus on the prospect, the problems they're experiencing, what's causing those problems, how it's affecting them. Have that conversation around that. And then once you understand, if you've qualified them, hey, they are a good fit, that's when you can transition into selling the meeting. Not trying to close the deal. You're trying the outcome of a cold call. The ideal outcome for a cold call, is you're setting that first initial meeting. Something to think about. So be sure, again, why you need to understand your ideal customer profile is you need to get really specific on the problems that they're experiencing and the effects on those problems. That's the way the conversation should be going. You're asking questions to understand their situation. And then once, okay, they do have a problem that we can solve for. Let's understand the ramifications of those problems. Oh, okay, don't go too deep, cut the call short, move into selling for the meeting right there. Here's a cold call talk track script. Again, steal it, use it. This is for you. It's me and you, keys to the kingdom. So use it. Again, cold call, just make it conversational. Don't stress yourself out. Don't get in your head. It's just a conversation. That it is. Trying to figure out if they have a problem that you can solve or value you can add. It's a conversation, so get into it. Hey, this is Vinny from X Company calling for this name if I'm engaging with a gatekeeper. Did I catch you at a bad time? That might sound familiar. If they are busy, hey, total respect that. Would calling you in a couple hours work better? Typically when you lay this line on them, well, what's going on? Okay, cool. If they're not busy, okay, hey, real quick, I know you weren't expecting my call. Was told you're the person in charge of handling A, B, C, X, Y, Z at that company, that sort of stuff. And wasn't sure if that was 100% sure and didn't want to get ahead of myself, but do you handle that sort of stuff? It's like a little qualification line in there. Trying to figure out, again, always be qualifying, figuring out if you're talking to the right person at the right company. Otherwise, get off the phone, figure out who the right person is, right? So yeah, okay, yeah, I handle that sort of stuff. Okay, cool. So real quick, I'm sure you got some sort of process in place for X, Y, Z. Wasn't trying to change that, but was curious though, what are you doing now to solve for this problem? Like, are you doing this, that? What's going on there? Make it easy for them to understand what the question that you're asking for. So, I mean, what are you doing now for this? And like, are you doing this right now? Are you doing that? Are you doing, what's going on there? Ideally, you need to start asking them questions, become prospect centric, have a conversation with them. And there's going to be a lot of questions that you need to ask, do a little micro discovery, I call it, until you're ready to transition to selling the meeting. So you're going to have to come up with kind of a list of questions to get clarity on, if they're a qualified fit or not. So it's just a framework for you to run with. But once you say, oh yeah, okay, so you're doing this, you're running this sort of problems, and these are the ramifications of these problems. Guess what? This is where you transition into selling the meeting right here. Okay, got it. That makes sense. Honestly, based on what you said about ABC, I'm thinking we might be able to help because what we focus on doing over here is XYZ. And again, no, you weren't expecting my call. So I want to reconnect with you, not now, but maybe later, just get a better sense of what's going on over there and see if we'd be a good fit. So if you're up for it, actually check out your calendar. Does reconnect on a quick call maybe sometime later this week for you, or maybe sometime Thursday before lunch around 10? Or actually maybe around 2 p.m. Tomorrow is, technically it's the 24th, so at 10 a.m. or 2 p.m., what's better for you? So this transition, I'm telling you this right now, this is the transition to selling for the meeting. It's really helpful. So the idea behind this is you're decreasing the likelihood of them trying to finagle out of the meeting. So you're kind of directing them, trying to make it easy for your prospect to say yes. Again, this is only after you've asked these questions, figured out they're a qualified prospect and they do have a problem that you can solve for. This is the transition into locking down their commitment. So you ideally decrease their no-show rate too. So try this out. It's super helpful based on what you said about this is what you're doing. I'm thinking we can help because this is what we do. Transition, cut the call short. I know you weren't expecting my call. Wanted to reconnect with you, not now, but later, just to get a better idea of what's going on. So if you're up for it, actually check out your calendar and then run this kind of, does reconnecting on a call maybe sometime later this week, I don't know, Thursday, sometime before lunch around 10, maybe sometime after it too. tomorrow. What I'm doing here is like I'm bringing their attention to their calendar so that they're not in their head and they're trying to be like, what's that time where I can try to get out of this meeting? I don't know. It's worked for me really well to really transition out of that micro discovery and into locking down the meeting, but just make it easy for them to say yes and don't leave that dead space where they can sell themselves out of the meeting. I got to run. I got a meeting right now. No, it's just like close the first deal, which is locking them down for the meeting right there. And then you transition into, set clear expectations of what you're going to do. Cool. Get their email, send out a calendar invite, ask if anyone else needs to be involved, squeeze the juice out of the last bit of the conversation. And that's the end of the cold call script. So it's been really effective in terms of me scheduling a shit ton of meetings. So hopefully you can make it your own and get a lot of success from it. I'll end this cold calling prospecting section with some best practice. So I like to do things called call bursts. And again, this is going to differ in terms of how long you could be doing it. But before my call burst, it's like, cool, I'm blocking off time. And again, you can see this in the daily schedule. I'm blocking off time specifically to make calls, specifically calls to schedule first-time appointments. So I already have my list pulled that I'm going to be calling. Turn off my phone, put it face down, minimize all types of distractions. I'm not on any social media. My mindset, make the call. Don't fucking, I've talked to this person before they said no, or, I got yelled at. It's like, dude, avoid that analysis paralysis. Just make the call. Dial down the list of qualified prospects. And the mindset when that dial tone is ringing is they're going to pick up. They're going to pick up. They're going to pick up. So during, it's like you need to execute. Ideally, you have some type of script framework that you could follow, but just separate yourself from that a little bit and just realize you're just having a conversation. Don't think you need to nail the script word for word or anything like that. Just don't be a fucking robot. Just having a conversation to see if I can solve a problem. If you can't solve a problem, transition into locking down that meeting for that first time appointment. I'll do a video down the line on overcoming objections, but framework for that, acknowledge it, handle it, push the call forward. If they don't agree to taking the meeting, establish some sort of next step. Okay, totally respect that. It's not a good fit for you now. You're not interested now. Would be realistic to open to, maybe contact you in 3 months, 6 months. I don't know. You tell me. If they do agree to a meeting, set expectations, going to send a calendar invite. Anyone else need to be on the call, all that sort of stuff. After the call, if they don't pick up, leave a voicemail. I like to leave voicemails if I've never engaged with them before. And on that first voicemail, I won't ask for a call back. I'll just send an email. I never ask for a call back. They won't call you back. So just whatever. If you have called me before and left a voicemail, I don't leave any other voicemails after that. Mentality, celebrate the no's. Every no does move you closer to yes. Sales, no doubt, is a numbers game. So just celebrate those no's, move on. Practice resiliency, just like that rejection muscle. The resiliency muscle is a real thing too. So you're in sales, expect defeat, failure, disappointment every day if you're not experiencing some degree of that. Work harder, work more. Trust the journey, it's all part of the process, all right? So, moving on to our third prospecting channel. I have so much to say about LinkedIn. So I just want to give some valuable nuggets. So let's just get into it. Okay, how to do LinkedIn right. So let's talk about some common LinkedIn mistakes. Your profiles suck. They're fully focused on the salesperson. So, I mean, if you're selling a company, I sell to salespeople, so I do have like all my accolades in there because it acts as like social proof for salespeople who are looking at me. But if you're selling to a different persona, then you really want to tailor your profile to like them, the problems that you solve for them. Make it all about them. It's not just like your resume. It's all about your prospect right there. For content, yeah, I call it like being a LinkedIn lurker. You're not creating any content, or you're just like resharing company posts and just hit the reshare with no copy above. That's a horrible way to it's a common LinkedIn mistake, so don't do that. This one's really bad. I call it the connect and sell. So you connect with the prospect, you send a connection request, they accept, and then you immediately pitch. And I mean, look in your LinkedIn profile or messages. Like, it's, for me, I get, no joke, like 10, 20 messages every day. I connect with the person, and then they fucking just sell. And they're just features and benefits. Like, it's the connect and sell method. I don't know that converts. I don't think it does. No. So just if you're doing that, don't. And you don't know how to use their search functions or filters effectively. Again, LinkedIn is a super powerful lead gen, qualifying, and prospecting type of tool. So you need to get savvy with the search functions and filters. So 4 steps to make your LinkedIn better today: update your profile, make it more about the prospect, the problems that you're solving, grow your network every single day. So keep adding not only, the prospects that you ideally want to schedule meetings with, but maybe people in a company that would be a part of the deal down the line. Just grow your network every day, share content regularly, consistently. What you want to start doing is, if you want to create content and posts on LinkedIn, is again, think about the problems that your prospect experiences, and that should give you the preface or the idea behind the post, the copy of the content. So a little content hack there, and engage in industry relevant content every day. Like, if you're going to make a comment, if you're going to comment on a post, make it worthy, make it insightful. I hate the great posts, like surface level bullshit type posts, like add value to the conversation, right? 3 tips for your profile. Make sure you got a professional headshot. Make it pop. Create a billboard style on LinkedIn. Transform your LinkedIn summary. Let me pull this up right here. My LinkedIn, to show you what I mean. If it wants to load. So professional headshot. I look decent, right? You don't want to connect with me. If I sent you a connection request, you would hit accept, right? And then my banner, it looks pretty clean, right? But if you go to my bio, or actually all my content's here, all my videos, instant credibility right there. But then also you see my activity. I'm engaging. I'm posting. Oh my God, I'm active on here. My about section. It's all about what I do, who I help, all that sort of stuff. It's making it basically when a prospect of mine lands on my page, they have a clear understanding of what I do, what I solve for. It's professional. So those are 3 tips for your profile. Growth tips, dude. Like, always be adding to your connections or your network, growing your network every day, 5 to 10. Just connect. Be open-minded with who you connect with. So it doesn't, ideally, you just don't want to connect with your ideal prospect that you're trying to schedule a meeting with, but connect with complementary individuals within the company as well. Whatever, grow it. That's what I mean. Add prospects and other prospects within the organization. Just do it. And if you do decide to prospect, sending messages to LinkedIn, do not have some cookie cutter bullshit feature and benefit type of script going on, and try to convert a meeting right away. If you're going to do it, just personalize them, and that follow the the best practices for writing effective sales emails. It's the same thing with your LinkedIn messaging. It's personalization. Show them that you know them. Show them that you want to start a relationship with them. Get to, have a conversation. Don't immediately connect and sell. Horrible. It just doesn't work. It's horrible. So don't do it. And sophisticated buyers, they know, if a pending connection request, they know they're going to be pitched at some point. So don't pitch right out the gates. It's treat it as a relationship that you want to nurture. And you can nurture that by engaging with their content that they post, or adding a a valuable comment, insightful comment, all that. So just keep that in mind when you're utilizing LinkedIn as a prospecting channel. Hope that helps. All right. So I was debating if I wanted to do this, of kind of give away my framework for an effective discovery meeting, but I just decided to say, fuck it, let's do it. So this right here is my framework for an effective collaborative discovery meeting. So if you nail this, okay, actually the front end of the sales cycle, the inputs, understanding your ICP, doing targeted lead generation, qualifying, figuring out the right person at the right company to meet with, and then prospecting, which ideally is the goal is to set a meeting with the prospect. If you're focusing on those inputs, well, if you're doing that, that's the hardest part of the sales process, in my opinion. Scheduling that first meeting with the right person, under the assumption that you know how to do discovery well. So if you focus on the inputs, if you nail this discovery framework, you're going to fucking jack up your close rate. Facts right there. So let's get into it. This is the framework right here. Discovery breakdown, 80% is discovery, or also called engagement. That's most of the meeting right there. And then after that, 10% of it's selling, positioning. The next 10% is either closing the deal or establishing clear, meaningful next steps with the prospect. And again, just like the macro sales process, this is literally it. This is the process right here. You got your intro. After your intro, you jump into discovery. After the idea behind discovery is you're surfacing like current processes. We'll get into it, but understand the current processes, the challenges, their goals. Once you understand that, you move into the pitch. And then from there, you close or set next steps to lock down the deal. So here is your intro. This literally should take 2 minutes, right? You jump on the call, rapport. How do you gain rapport with the prospect? How do you set the agenda? How do you set expectations? This is it right here in the small little line right here. So, hey, how's it going? How are you? Where are you based out of? Cool. One little trick or best practice that I like to do is this is like surface level bullshit rapport, is if I have a story to tell, like I do pre-call research on who I'm meeting with every call, like 15, 20 minutes before the call. So if you got a story you can tell, that's how I like to open up the meetings. Like I was meeting with Steph Curry's talent agency and his philanthropic company probably a month ago. And instead of like jumping into it like, hey, how's it going? Oh, where are you based out of? Instead I told a story, and the story was pretty cool. It's like, hey, actually, before we jump into things, quick story actually. In my first job, well, actually my second job, I used to be a bag boy at Safeway. That was my first job. But my second job was being a waiter at Chili's in Santana Row. And before, when Steph first got his, break, he used to, on the Warriors, he actually used to come into Chili's all the time. And I used to serve him before who he is now. And he's an amazing person. So, and then I transitioned right into it. So it was like, I don't know, felt really cool meeting with you, and if you're ready, we could just jump right into things. And that immediately just set the call off on the right foot. Like the person I was engaging with, who was a executive assistant, I'm pretty sure she was a family member or connected some way through that. She loved it, right? Just a little quick anecdote, showed him I was a real person, just having a conversation. And she thought it was cool. And I ended up actually one call closing that. Oh, whoa. Okay, cool. But whatever. So best practice right out the gates. I like, if you have some type of story you can tell, go for it, make it. But you got to be good at telling stories, right? So, and then great. Okay, we're into it. Transition. Sure, you're super busy, ready to jump into things. Collaborative right out the gates, right? Yeah, let's do it. Cool. You're still holding on to the steering wheel. What I found to work best on calls like this, dive deeper into your current processes for whatever, discuss what's working, what's not, ultimately talk about what you feel are specific challenges that are holding you back from this in order to get more of this. So that's that right there, that line. It's kind of like it's a non-rigid way of setting the agenda, right? Talk about what's working, talk about what's not. If we can help, then you transition to setting expectations. Once we get a better idea of what's going on there, then if we find that we can help, then I'm more than tell you a bit more about that. But after talking and I find that we can help, then I'm going to be 100% straight up transparent with you. And I invite you to do the same. You know, if after talking, I don't think we can help, I'll tell you. If you don't think we can help at any point in the conversation, let me know, you know, no worries, right? Give them an out. But at the very least, we'll establish some takeaways, make this call worth both of our time. Does that sound good? So this line right here is setting expectations, right? If I find that we're a good fit, I'm going to attempt to close you or set next steps on that. But if I think you're not a good fit, like, I'll tell you and you let me know too. Cool. Does that sound good? Yeah, it sounds good. All right, we're in. That's the intro. 1, 2, 3 minutes, whatever. That's what you're doing. And then you are jumping right into discovery. Okay. So my 3 areas of questions is, I call it the lay of the land questions, which are all about the process of what they're doing. The challenge questions, you got to understand the problems that they're experiencing. And you got to take once you've figured out a problem, you got to take it from surface level to emotional. And then the future pacing questions, which are like the goal oriented questions. So once you understand like their processes, the problems, and their goals, this gives you the ammunition that you need to actually provide them with a personalized pitch. So just to hit on some of these questions, I always like to get an idea of why they took the call with me. You kind of see where their head goes with this question right here. What piqued your interest, got you to take the call with me, got you to book this call with me. See where their head goes, see what they tell you. And then hold the steering wheel though, in terms of the next question. So cool. I mean, based on what you said there, what's probably going to be best is get a better idea what your current processes look like, right? That just makes sense. So what are you doing now? How long have those processes been in place? What were you doing before? Well, you know, what did you use in the past to kind of, for these problems? Cool. Understand the vendors, the solutions that they've used. Did they play a role in that? Who was all part of that? Understanding the decision-making process. What other solutions are you considering now? You need to know, right? If you're coming up in any sort of competition. Cool. Okay. These are questions designed to understand their current processes, who's in play, who's the decision makers, all that sort of thing. Then once you understand, watch out, like you don't want to spend too much time right here, because what you really need to be hanging out is you need to get to the challenge questions, the problems. So once you understand that, you transition into this. It's like, cool. Yeah. Okay. That definitely gives me a clear picture of what's going on, what you're doing. Now, having said all that, tell me, what's the biggest challenge you're running into with whatever you're selling, right? This idea behind this question is like, what's going on? What's that ideally we can solve for? And then once they give you that answer, it's like, okay, that's surface level. Now we need to get deeper. So this line of questioning helps you take it from surface level to emotional. So how long have you been stuck dealing with this? How has that affected business? How has that affected your teammates? How has that affected you, your customers? How's that? Oh yeah, all that sort of stuff. How important is it for you to solve this now? Like, you could be honest. Is this something that's prioritized? Is it not? You need to have a legit fucking conversation about that. You want them to be genuinely open with you. Always be qualifying. See, this is if it's a hot button issue, so you have an idea of this, how long this deal is going to take to convert, right? Ask these questions to be legit. Have an open, honest conversation with your prospect. So what happens if you don't solve for this problem that you're facing now? How much longer is this sustainable if you keep everything the same? Why do you want to change now? This question right here is design. This is how you manufacture urgency. Right here. Why change now? So ideally they'd be straight up with you. Well, we need to change this now because this. Okay. But why change now though? Because okay. Cool. Okay. I'm thinking we can help. That's good to know. it's urgent or it's not urgent. Cool. But knowledge is power. You need to know this sort of stuff. Okay. Once you understand their processes, the problems they're experiencing, you take those problems from surface level to emotional, then you can move into the last phase of discovery questions, which is understanding their goals, right? Cool. What sort of results do you hope to achieve after solving this problem? What do the goals look like over the next 3-6 months? Have you thought about what the potential impact if you keep everything the same? Well, this, that, the other, shit. Okay. Well, what would those problems look like? Are you willing to settle for that? No. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're having a legit conversation. Okay. And then always like transition to a temperature check, child close. So cool. Got a great understanding of what you're doing, who all plays a part in that. Got a really clear picture of all the problems you're experiencing and the results of those problems, and get an idea of why you want to change things now, because these are your goals and where you want to go in the future. God dang. Okay. Sweet. So transition, temperature check. So, I mean, if we were to find a way to solve these problems, start working towards those goals of whatever they are, would you be willing to start working towards those goals together? Yes. Okay. We're getting somewhere. Now we're ready to move into it. Just everything. If you do this right, everything will start flowing naturally into the pitch, and they'll basically be like, okay, what do you do? How can you solve, right? Ideally, if you do this right. And this is how you maintain control of the steering wheel. It's like, well, hey, based on what you told me, what we're doing over here might actually work for you, because specifically that's what we help with. You're doing ABC, we can help solve this by doing XYZ. So yeah, I'm thinking we can help. I can tell you a bit more about that if you want, but you kind of tell me where you want to go, right? That naturally flows. The conversation naturally flows, right? But if you do this right, it will naturally flow. Then yeah, okay. Yeah, tell me how that works. Or sometimes you'll run into price. Yeah, how much you got? Well, hold on. Like, don't you want to hear about how we can help solve these problems first? Don't you want to hear a little bit more about that? Yeah, actually, that makes sense. We don't need to talk about price. Yeah, tell us how you're going to solve our problem. So this, I'm not going to go into detail in terms of your pitch, but basically this is why you do discovery. You understand the processes, you understand who plays a role in everything, their decision-making process, you understand their problems and the real reasons behind why they're problems. Through that line of questioning, you understand their goals. So once you understand that, and then you're really able to put together a personalized pitch for them. And so this is just a framework. I go macro to micro. So our area of expertise is helping companies solve X so you get more Z. Specifically, you mentioned here are all the problems. Here's how we can help. That's what I mean by that personalized pitch. Again, you're asking questions to get all your ammo for your pitch. That's why you're asking these discovery questions. You're building up a stockpile of ammunition, and then you're just going to freaking rifle it off in your personalized pitch in terms of how you can solve those specific issues. So it needs to be, you need to hit it all on that. And then temperature check. So now they have a better idea of, how we operate our process, specifically how we can help. Do you think that what we're doing over here is going to help you solve these problems and get you to these goals? Okay. That's my, after I nail my pitch, that's the first question that I ask. Now, so what questions do you have for me? First, I need to see if they're still on. It's like, okay, yeah, for sure. I'm thinking this can help. Okay, cool. Now, so what questions you got for me? That's the pitch. You should be 10% of your time of the meeting spent in here. And then once you're out of there, now you're into either closing the deal or transitioning into next clear and meaningful next steps. So again, this really depends on what you're selling. But, if you're like a one-call closer, you want to close the deal on that first initial call, then this is where you transition into the close, where you're basically recapping everything and then laying price on them. But if you're selling something, with a little bit longer of a sales cycle, then this is where you need to carve out time to establish those next steps with everything. So this is the segue out. It's kind of under the assumption that you're having a multi-touch type of deal, multi-meeting type of deal. So now, great, you have no more questions. You're feeling good. We still got a little bit of time, so wanted to get a clear picture or a clear idea of what you need from me. That would be helpful for you and your team to be able to make a decision on this and roll something like this out, right? So you still need to start asking questions. You need to understand what they need to do in order for this deal to go over the finish line. They need to understand what you're going to do too. So questions like this, and this is a really powerful question if you really want to see who's going to be a part of the decision-making process. It's, can you walk me through what criteria you use when picking a company to solve these issues? They're going to, hey, well, I need to meet with this person in finance, this person in legal, needs to go up for board approval. Okay, got it. Like, typically, when do you meet with these people? When are you going to have a conversation with those? You can be realistic, all that sort of stuff. So asking that question will give you a lot of people use the cookie cutter. What's your decision-making process look like? Okay, let's ask a better question. Can you walk me through what criteria you use when picking a company to solve this issue? They'll give you their decision-making process. What does your budgetary process look like? How is that determined? This gives you a clear idea of what it's gonna take for the deal to go over the line, right? Who would feel left out if they weren't involved in a demo? Again, this is like an initial discovery meeting. So if you need your second follow-up meeting is going to be a demo meeting, who's going to feel left out if they're not joining in on this, right? Who would be resistant to some change if we were to roll this out? You need to be cognizant of this stuff. What are the next steps to have the cut check or the check cut, right? These are example questions. Use them, make them your own, all that sort of stuff. And then set expectations on what you're going to do next. Great. And so what info and resources would you need from me to be helpful? Do you need case studies? Do you need terms and agreement? What do you need from me? Do you need a recap email of all the ways we can help out? Okay, cool. So I'll get that done on my end. And then you transition on that next call to locking in those next steps. So obviously you need to do this. Talk with this person, talk with that person. So would reconnecting on our next call on this date give you enough time to sync up with everybody? Would that be realistic? You can be honest. Does that give you enough time? You want to lock in those next steps without ruining rapport, not giving it enough time. You need to be real at this step. Like, hey, you got to do all this sort of stuff. So that's why you need to, when do you typically meet with this person? When does everyone to come together? You got to have that open conversation, kind of give them enough time to do whatever, coordinate, have conversations. You could be realistic. You could be honest with me. Cool. Okay. Take all that time. And then, what I'll do on my end, I'll get you whatever you need. I'll update the calendar invite, send out that recap email, send over those case studies, send over the terms, whatever, and then reach out to me, anything that comes up in the meantime. Otherwise, talk to you on next date. Take care. That's it. That is it. That is everything. That is my framework for an effective collaborative discovery meeting. And that's the sales process as a whole right here. Just reverting up to everything. Leave some comments below in terms of what you thought on that. Let me know also if you kind of like these sorts of videos, these unpolished you and me type talking videos. But if you understand this sales process from a macro perspective, you need to crystallize your ICP. That way you can optimize your time spent doing lead generation. You generate leads and then you move to qualifying, so you figure out the right person within the right company to meet with, so that way you're not wasting time when you're prospecting. You're utilizing different prospecting channels to ideally schedule that first discovery meeting, and then you commit to using a framework like this ideally to increase your close rates. And once you have that internalized, you're killing it, crushing it. So again, I'm going to have this full document. I'm going to post this in my community for closers, free group, the link below to go ahead and join that. So I'll see you over there. That's where I'll be living. That's where like-minded salespeople are there to sharpen their selling skills, to build a community of like-minded people who just want to do more, do better, sell better in this world, get to their goals quicker. So join us if you're that type of person. If you're not that type of person, don't join. All right. Trying to really build up an amazing community of people, like-minded people, so we can move forward in a positive direction. Comment below if you like this sort of videos. Maybe I'll do more. Hope that helps. Everyone, have a killer 2023. Let me know how I can help. I'll catch you later. All right. Peace.